Beetle butt. That's Mackie. Oh, she's mad. She can't. She can't jump up on the bed by herself anymore because she's kind of fat. She is my familiar. Cats are aliens. Why? She's helped me in many battles in the underworld. Little baby, and she came to me in a really random way at a time when I really needed some help in the underworld. So she's gonna. If you hear purring in the background of any of my videos when I'm making content, sometimes it shows up or you can hear it. It's her, because this is what she does. She purrs. And then there's this guy. Leggery. Legs. He's less helpful in the underworld. He's more, he's a special guy in a different way. Julie. What's good, friend?
Don't know if you can see me. Yeah.
I can, yeah. Oh, it looks weird though. What are you using?
I don't know. I'm on a phone.
You're like all stretched out. Do you see yourself on there? Like,
Right, hang on. What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like I took some sort of psychedelic looking at you.
It's because I've got the background on blur.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I must have been it because it blurs the background, right? Yeah.
Let's put it this way round and that's now going to fall. Okay.
How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a little bit.
No, because you couldn't do it last Monday, right? So
Yeah,
I can't do it
we had a
Wednesdays
holiday here.
because I work. So yeah. Oh, it's weird energy today. It's really weird here. It's like
yeah,
Mercury conjunct Mars, right?
Yeah, Mercury's conjunct Mars, and there's also like a shit ton of aspects going on, and we're right at the end of the lunar cycle, which is usually it usually dies down, right?
Yeah.
Like the moon isn't having as much effect on us magnetically. But I think I'm having chills as I'm about to say this, so that's usually a sign that I'm onto something. I think because it is the second new moon in Virgo, like with the last cycle started in Virgo in the early degrees, and we're still in Virgo, but in the later degrees, I feel like it's like a higher octave. So it's normally, you complete the energies and then you move on to the next archetype as far as the lunar cycle goes. But I feel like it's almost just turning the dial up.
It feels like it, especially here. It's nuts at the moment.
Yeah, there's been it feels weird here too, and like I've had a number of like difficulties interpersonally, and that's, I mean, not abnormal for me, but I seem to be really triggering people as of late. And,
oh gosh.
I just don't know. But yeah, it's been interesting times for sure. Nyla, how are you doing? Good to see you. Are you feeling better? Are you able to chit chat today, or are you just observing?
I am able to chat. Thank you.
Yay.
I am feeling so much better, but then you'll hear me like cough my lungs out and my throat gets really raspy sporadically. But past that, thank God I'm doing so much better. And it was weird because I got my period and whatever my son had on the same day. So I was just so done.
My goodness, yeah, double whammy from the universe there, eh?
Yeah, and I gotta agree with Julie when she said it feels really weird today. It's been feeling really weird since yesterday for me. And today I feel so weird. And I typically don't lately. I feel like I matured where I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be okay if you feel weird. just, you know, stay grounded, do grounding things, and it's going to pass. But I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen with my life. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like you got to sit in that middle ground, right? You know, like it's interesting having the like living from the paradigm of, you know, being a spiritually inclined human and understanding, you know, maybe on an intellectual level or like on a certain level that things are happening for you, you know, and through you kind of idea. But then at the same time, like the human experience of like dealing with those things happening, like your nervous system's just like, what the frick? Like I need to survive here basically. So I feel that 100%. 100%. No, so there was some people RSVP today, but we're already at, I don't know what time it is. We're getting close to like 10 after. So these segments, as you guys know, are really just a platform for me to kind of talk about whatever. Like we'll talk about the astrology. So I do have like a little, like a Google slide that I created with the transit for the new moon tomorrow. So we can have a little chit chat about that and the energies, the moon transits. But it's really kind of an open forum. So I also want to invite your participation or input if there's any questions or topics that are, you know, really salient for you or really coming to the top as far as your personal experience. So it's not, you know, so I do like talking, like I can just talk forever, you know, but like, so it doesn't have to just be me info dumping on you guys for an hour is what I'm trying to say here. So, maybe I'll open it up. Is there anything that before I get into like looking at the chart for the new moon and the energy for this week, is there anything that's really like coming through that you guys want to talk about first before I get to that? No? Okay. You're like, show me the astrology.
No, you're pretty good on picking up energy, so I feel like you're just automatically going to cover everything.
I'm going to just talk about it anyways. Yeah. That is honestly, so like that comes in part from my intuitive gifts, right? Like the flow state that I get into. But honestly, I'm just reading the energy as far as the truest astrology goes, right? Like it touches on what you're experiencing because it's so darn accurate. Okay. So can you guys see this and like see me pointing?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
No, hang on. Let me just scroll across.
Okay,
Yeah,
right, because now you can see it?
Yeah, I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So what we've got on the screen here, this is the transit chart for the new moon tomorrow. So we can tell because the sun and the moon are at the same point over here in Virgo. So that is the case always with the new moon. With the full moon, the moon is opposite the sun. So, but the energy is pretty close to this today also, really. The only thing that's going to be different is that the moon is going to be closer. Like today's chart, the moon is like right here-ish because it moves 13 degrees in the sky every day. For anybody who's tuning into this on the replay or joining when I can't see the screen, like because I can't see myself right now, and you're not familiar with this lens of astrology, this is true sidereal. Sidereal literally means of the stars, and you may think that that is what astrology means, but mainstream astrology, like the Western tropical lens that most people are familiar with, especially on social media, is actually totally disconnected from the stars. It has nothing to do with the constellations or the actual positions of the planets as they are in the sky. It is a static, symbolic construct affixed to the equinoxes, and it only measures the lower cycles, the movement from light to dark. It should be really called seasonology. It's not astrology because it has nothing to do with the stars. So this lens of astrology, we look at the actual sizes of the constellations. So that's why the wheel on the outside is all different sizes. And then we also recognize the 13th sign, Ophiuchus. So if you want to learn more about this specific lens of astrology, reach out to me or check out the link in any of my bio on social media, and there'll be ample resources for you. So looking at this specific lens, also known as alchemical astronomy, we're literally capturing the real-time energies of the planets, etheric bodies, points. They're not even actual physical objects in a lot of cases. They're energies that have their own archetypes, and they're moving through the constellations, and then we're making predictions and calculations based off of that. Okay, so when you look at the actual sky, the sun is still in Virgo, whereas the mainstream is saying we're well into Libra season at this point, right? So so there's a lot of interaction. So like I was saying kind of in the preamble here, that usually at the end of the lunar cycle, like we're just wrapping it up, we got less than 24 hours left, oh my gosh, until the until the apex of the new moon tomorrow morning. And usually the energy kind of dies down, but it feels like it's amping up. Like it's like the dial's just turned up a notch, right? And I think this has to do with all the other stuff that is going on in the chart. So most notably, we have a grand cross, which is not entirely visible on this particular chart, but it involves, so like a grand cross is basically two oppositions that square each other. And those oppositions and squares create the most tension in a chart. So oppositions, they're like pushing on each other, kind of creates like a push-pull dynamic. The square is a bit more intense, and it typically is tension with the intention of change, right? So like the two, when two planets are in an opposition, they're kind of, it's like a push-pull. They're kind of annoyed by each other, like, dimmed, depending on what the opposition is. They can be diminished or amplified based on the other planet or point that they're opposing. But in a square, that angle is like one of them is trying to change the other one, or they're both trying to change each other kind of idea, right? And so I don't do well when people try to make me change. So, you can kind of take that idea or as a way to frame the energy of a square, right? So the Grand Cross that is it's been happening. It started happening last week and it's continuing into this week. Because the sun is the fastest mover out of all of the planets that are involved in this Grand Cross, and it moves like 1 degree a day, basically, right? So we have the sun and the moon tomorrow at the higher degrees of Virgo. Okay, so illuminating this energy of precision, improvement, refinement. Like Virgo is the alchemist, the healer also, right? Like Virgo is the physical representation of the most spiritual axis within the zodiac. So Virgo, and then the opposite of that is Pisces, right? The most feminine, expansive, intuitive, spiritual archetype in the zodiac. So the sun and the moon are opposing Chiron, which is in retrograde in Pisces. And Chiron moves super slow. I think it takes like 52 years or 51, or 50-ish years to get around the zodiac. So it moves like 1 to 2 degrees a year. And fun fact, it is currently sitting on top of my natal sun, which is in Pisces in the 10th house, right? So like the last little bit and like moving forward, I'm facing my fears and my greatest wounds around my ability to live a spiritual life. And then because it's in the 10th house for me, it also has to do with my dharma as a spiritual teacher. So this, in the current transit, we've got this tension, right? An opposition here between the collective's wounds. And when it's in retrograde, it means it's a more internalized experience, right? So internally, the collective is wrestling with our wounds, our trauma around the Piscean energy, which is intuition, feminine, expansive receivership, the collective unconscious, like what lies beyond the physical, basically. So, this also too, like Pisces energy is like dark night of the soul. Like if you've got a lot of 12th house energy in your chart, you're somebody who is really triggering to people. I have a 12th house stellium. So a stellium means you have 3 or more planets in that house, right? So 12th house Pisces energy is like that dark feminine, like it's the feminine is not just like passive and like doing nothing, there is an edge to that feminine rage as well, right? So we're having that experience internally. Like this is Chiron in retrograde in Pisces for the collective is like the witch wound coming to the surface, right? Like people really coming to terms or dealing with either the imprints from your current iteration or like historic inherited trauma, generational trauma of like ancestors that you had or yourself in another body being persecuted for your spiritual beliefs. Okay. So like we've got this push-pull, this tension of like the sun and the moon, the new moon, the second octave, the higher octave of this new moon in Virgo energy, which is like bringing a highlight or amplifying the idea of the magic and the mundane, magic through service, right? Like you don't have to be like a monk in a monastery. You don't have to give up your human life to be magical. Like that's what, like I see the Virgo archetype is like real world magic, right? And like you don't have to be a weirdo in the traditional sense. I mean, I'm going to be a weirdo for life, right? But like, you don't have to be an outcast or like a social outcast to be magical anymore, right? So we've got this focus on the day to day, making a plan, sticking to it, getting organized, devotion kind of idea over discipline, pushing up against all these wounds that are telling you that you're going to die if you tell people that you are magical, or you're going to die if, and I'm sorry if that language is harsh for people, but that's really what everything boils down to. Like all of the inhibitions and limitations that we create for ourselves in these human bodies boil down at their most core root to your fear of your own death, right? Because that keeps you alive. It keeps you in the game, right? But it also prevents you from doing a lot, because a lot of that fear isn't real. So this is what this dynamic is playing out. Okay, so we have that going on. And then we have another opposition that is between two other slow movers. I can't remember Jupiter's orbit speed off the top of my head, but it is a social planet, so it moves slowly. And then Pluto is the slowest mover. It takes 248 years to get around the zodiac. So it takes, I just actually made a video a couple of days ago over the weekend. It's on YouTube and TikTok, and I think I posted it in Soultivation actually too, talking about the transit of Pluto through Capricorn. So it's like it's going to take 16 years to get through here, right? So slow moving. So we're going to have this ongoing oppositional energy, or like a push-pull between Jupiter and Gemini, with Jupiter being abundance and expansion, also the higher self. In like the old system, Jupiter was the ruler of Pisces before they knew about Neptune kind of idea, right? The traditional, I don't know why it's called traditional, because that is not how astrology in its pure form actually operates. But I digress as far as that. Opens a whole other can of worms as far as that conversation goes. But Jupiter is expansion and the higher self, right? Like, and it is similar to that Pisces energy. And it's a very benefic or positive social planet, okay? And so this in Gemini, which is mutable air, Gemini is all about knowledge, curiosity, being flexible, being able to change your mind, not being too rigid, because it's got that mutable energy in it. Gemini is also the trickster, right? Like, because you can see both sides of things, and being kind of detached, right? So it's like being detached from being right, being able to see more than one perspective, entertain both sides of an argument kind of idea. Great debaters, people with Gemini in their chart. Yes, I'm a Gemini rising. If you read the comments and me responding I respond to most comments on TikTok because it helps the algorithm, but also because I kind of get a kick at arguing with people. Like, I just think it's funny. And then when you get people mad and arguing with you, then that tells TikTok that they're engaged with your content. So if you ever wonder if you're observing me on TikTok, that is what I'm doing. Also helps that my Mars and my Mercury are in Aries, so I am kind of an asshole. So anyways, the Pisces sun and the Taurus stellium in my chart kind of eases it out, right? Like if I was just Aries and Gemini, I don't know if I would be alive, honestly. But the Taurus stellium gives me a long fuse, and the Pisces sun makes me a little bit more spacey and less egoic. But anywho, Jupiter and Gemini in the current transit is expanding a new thought paradigm, right? It's bringing an energy of curiosity to the collective. And this is why, like right now, like if you're somebody who's keen on being a new earth leader and helping the collective in any way, shape, or form. And this doesn't mean that you have to like be a social media spiritual influencer or even really overtly out there as far as that is concerned. But if you know, just vibrating in this resonance on its own will help to influence the people around you. But if you are somebody who feels like their dharma is to be a teacher or to help other people, now is the freaking time. Like people, like it is, the new wave is forming, you know, people are becoming more interested in this and seeing through the like the cracks basically of the old systems crumbling, right? Because that is what is opposing this energy here is Pluto and Capricorn, which is over the next 16 to 17-ish years going through Capricorn, which is the system structure, like the dad energy. Capricorn represents like the patriarchy, the external locus, all of the external systems and institutions that, you know, in part created where we're at right now. So this is another push-pull, this opposition, right? Of like this expansion of a new thought paradigm, pushing up against the old systems that are still limiting us. Capricorn is that cardinal earth too. So it's like bossy physical world kind of energy, right? Like this is how we do it because I said so kind of vibe is how I see Capricorn. You can tell what shadow work I still have to do based on how I respond to certain archetypes in the zodiac. And just actually, before I move on, as far as this topic is concerned, on the thread of like, if you're somebody who is here to be a new earth leader or a teacher, somebody who is representing this new paradigm, the best thing you can do is learn it yourself. Like, you know, I'm constantly imbibing my teachings in my own personal anecdotes from my chart because that is how I know this is so true, right? Is doing that work myself. And the more that you embody that yourself and like understand yourself and really bring those fragmented aspects of yourself home, the more coherence you have in your being and the greater power you have. And over the next 2 years, we also have the South Node moving backwards through Leo because the nodes work backwards through the zodiac. So it's going to take the South Node about 2 years through Leo. And this is bringing an end to superficial leadership, like doing things for the likes. We're going to see the spiritual influencer bubble pop over the next 2 years and it's already happening. Like you can feel it on social media. You can, or I can anyways, like feel when somebody's saying the things, but they're not really embodying the things, right? So this is a time for those of us who are really walking the walk and doing the work, right? Like to bring that level of body and mind and heart coherence, right? Existing from the heart. Where you're not even really going to have to do anything other than continue to focus on yourself and calm your body down and turn your attention inwards. And you'll be able to step right into that dharma as a new earth leader, teacher, healer, mystic, whatever it is, as far as your specific brand of magic is. So these are the underlying currents of the transits, moving from the head to the heart, the push-pull between a more magical life as normal, like normalizing a more magical life, really embodying our destiny as human beings, living in the Pisces Vesica, the middle of the material and the spiritual. And really, I feel like that's honestly why things are feeling weird too, because that is what the Pisces Virgo axis is all about, is like going from the head to the heart. And the opposite, right? So like the Virgo is meant to serve Pisces. Pisces is the heart, is the expanded feminine collective unconsciousness, like the black hole through which everything is born. And Virgo is like that masculine energy of doing the thing, right? So it's like the doing serves the spaciousness kind of idea. So all together as a grand cross, right? Like we've got this tension between the new moon and Chiron, and then also tension between Jupiter and Pluto, and then they're all squaring each other. Right? So they're all they're all working together it's kind of like, I feel like the collective is like a jar of ants right now, and the universe is just like, right? So in order to change, there's going to be some destruction, right? So we're going to be feeling that kind of like antsy tension in the collective, on a personal level, right? You know, like in your day to day, you're going to have these experiences. And as somebody who's paying attention to these energies and this sort of transmissions, uh, you can intellectualize it and understand that everything's happening for you, and you're likely then to have a less intense reaction to these sorts of events. It's not to say, when you reach a state of enlightenment or more spaciousness, it's not like shit stops happening in your life. It's not like you never get triggered, but it just lasts less time. Like it's just shorter duration. Like I've had a number of instances. I would consider myself like a fairly enlightened individual at this point as far as how I operate in my day to day. But, when something is happening outside of you, like that threatens your social standing or your livelihood or your physical safety, your body is going to react. And like, you can't stop that from happening. You can just shorten the duration of it. So it's like I get caught, I still get caught in these trigger cycles, but I have such a well-established toolkit of somatic regulation techniques that I'm able to then calm myself down so I'm not feeling like I'm being attacked. And then I'm able to let the situation move through myself. I said, I'm referring to myself in multiple persons, I guess. Move through us. Well, I mean, you are another me, right? So maybe I'm just channeling the collective here. Okay, so that is one of the aspects that is going on, and will be continuing to affect us during this lunation. We also still have I think today, the chart for today, you could see it more. It's less evident here that we have had a kite formation going on. So is an opposition between Venus and Neptune being supported by Pluto and Uranus. So, so this has moved out. So there was a grand trine happening here. Oh, maybe it's because Venus moved. When Venus was like here, there's a grand trine happening. Like so trines are supportive energy. This chart, it gives you a nice visual because you can see it's color coded, right? So like blue lines are more supportive, red ones are more tension, right? So Venus in Virgo is like a bit uncomfortable. Venus is about relationships, love, how you love, what you appreciate, your values. Also, it's also connected to your resources. Like Venus rules Taurus and Libra, right? So like relationships and resources kind of idea. And that in Virgo is a little tense. Like I feel like this is where some of the interpersonal clashes are coming from in the collective, because right now Virgo and Venus is making you really consider what is good for you and what isn't, and like wanting you to make a cut, right? Like release anything that is connecting you to the old paradigm, that old structure, whether it's a person, a place, a thing, a habit, mode of being in yourself as well. And then that is opposing Neptune in Pisces. So like Neptune in Pisces is just the veil being super thin. It's a double whammy of that Piscean energy. Things are pretty magical, but also potentially a bit scary, or like maybe scary isn't the right word, but like if you're not comfortable with the underworld and like being able to travel beyond the physical, it might be a bit uncomfortable, right? Like and there could also, like, the shadow of Pisces energy is like things not being clear, being really apathetic, being really spacey or flaky or non-committal kind of energy. So we're like Venus and Virgo is like motivating you to make a decision about what stays and what goes, but it's like opposing Neptune in Pisces, which is making things unclear, bringing illusions. It also, Pisces energy is like rose-colored glasses sometimes, right? So like maybe you have a karmic relationship that you keep revisiting, and that it's not helping you to evolve, but like they're so cute, or you have such great chemistry, or whatever it is, right? Like, or sometimes I get caught in situations too where like when you are able to zoom out and really, see things from a neutral standpoint, and like, I really ultimately don't believe that there are bad people in the world. I think that there are just people, And some people make decisions that lead them towards expansion, and some people make decisions that lead them towards contraction. So sometimes that thought process or that mode of operation can lead to me like justifying really shitty behavior and like putting up with people abusing me. So like that kind of energy, right? Like Venus is like, this is not good for you. Like, we'll get rid of that shit. And Neptune's like, but maybe. Right? So like you got that dynamic going on. It is being supported via sextiles with Pluto in Capricorn, literally getting rid of things that are just not going to keep you, not going to move you forward in that more spacious way. And then Uranus in Taurus, which is like sudden changes in your physical world. Freedom, innovation, shocks. Uranus is the shocker, right? So like that there's a potential for big time change or like miracle energy, honestly, with Uranus and Taurus and the different aspects that it's making. So we've got that kite going on. And then Uranus in Taurus is opposing, so there's more tension here, Mercury and Mars conjunct in Libra. Okay, so here's another reason why we are having like collective turbulence or stickiness in relations, because Libra is all about relationships. It's about balance, it's justice, but it is a cardinal sign, so it's kind of pushy, right? It's a little bit bossy as far as a new thought paradigm, or conversely, it can also be really superficial and flaky to a certain degree, right? So we've got this energy like Mars and Mercury together, it brings more power. So when two planets are conjunct, they amplify each other. They join forces, so their energies, like the themes of their energies kind of join, and then they empower each other, right? So Mars is your drive, your desire, your active doing force, right? That Aries energy. Mercury is how you think and how you communicate. And it's actually Virgo energy, right? So like how you think and how you act. Also more like if you're somebody who doesn't normally speak up, you might feel more like you want to speak up with Mars being right on top of Mercury, right? Like it's bringing a certain level of power or oomph to your communication, right? As somebody, I already referenced this, like I have my Mercury and my Mars are both in Aries. So it's really easy for me to speak up. Like I have a hard time biting my tongue, honestly, in a lot of situations. I am the type to speak my mind before I even know what my mind is sometimes. Or like, that kind of energy, okay, when Mars and Mercury are together is like speak first, think later, or like putting your foot in your mouth kind of energy potentially. And with that being in Libra opposing Uranus, which is a shocking energy, right? So like watch out for potentially saying things that you might regret later. Like maybe take a breath before you end that relationship, even though I just went on this whole thing about how you maybe need to, right? But like just take a space. Don't act impulsively, maybe would be the best advice as far as that is concerned. And then there's like this opposition. Oh, this is another kite. Yeah, it's not making a sextile here. But there is this opposition and then a grand trine between this conjunction of Mars and Mercury, Jupiter in Gemini, and Neptune, and I think it looks like Saturn here as well in Pisces. Okay, so this is bringing energy, like supportive energy between the expansion of this new paradigm, the veil being really thin and like having access to the collective unconscious, the more magical side of life, and then this like assertiveness or bold communication and your capacity for that. So we've got that going on, okay? And then the other aspect, the video for the new moon was like 25 minutes, and I didn't even actually talk about the kite because I didn't see that. But it was like a 25-minute transmission, right? So there's a lot going on here. So the other aspect that I want to touch on before I kind of open this up, actually, I'll talk about the moon transits and then we can open it up. But there is also a yod happening. So we have a yod is the finger of God, and it is a aspect pattern involving a quincunx, which is a 60-degree angle, and then a 150-degree angle. Oops, I'm pointing to the wrong one. So there's a quincunx happening between Uranus, sudden shakeups in your physical world, shocking developments, innovation, freedom when it comes to your resources or your physical surroundings, and Neptune in Pisces, which I've talked about a lot, right? So this energy of the feminine, expansive, heart-centered leadership, or ability to tap into your heart-centered consciousness. So there's a supportive angle here, and then tension pointing right at the moon and the sun. So with a yod, whatever's at the apex is the tension point, and the effect is change. Okay, so that's probably why this new moon and why we're feeling weird, because we're getting pretty close to it, right? So like this lunar cycle, this new moon in particular, really has there's a lot of supportive energy, a lot of tension, which is ultimately supportive in a different way, to change, right? To really move from the old paradigm of being in your head, looking outside of yourself, hustle and grind, proving your worth, doing more, not being able to rest, right? Like all of that energy, all of that old paradigm is on the way out, right? And these things don't go down without a fight. Okay? Like it's the nature of our reality, that there's just as much destruction and death and chaos in the universe as there is peace and creation and expansion and positive feelings, right? So like the key is not to hang out in either end of the polarity, to like really have your baseline be in neutral. So that way, when we have these periods of unrest or like turbulence, you're not like losing your shit and reinforcing it and like going into the lower ends of those cycles. So that, I'm just looking at if I missed anything. I'm looking at my notes from the new moon video that I did. Oh yeah, and there's a cradle too. So there is this, like with all the tension, there's this cradle on this side of the chart. So Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune and Saturn and Pluto, all the social planets basically they're all involved in this harmonious aspect pattern, supporting each other in the bringing through of this new paradigm. So the moon, as the luminary that moves the fastest in our cosmology, what's that word? is going to be in Virgo until Wednesday, because it's huge, right? So it's going to this is where it'll be tomorrow morning for the new moon, and then it'll finish up Virgo over tomorrow into early Wednesday, and then late Wednesday into Thursday, it'll be transiting, it'll pass over Mercury and Mars and move through Libra, so it'll bring an energy of like more focus on relationships, justice, fairness, even thinking differently, right? Because it is that cardinal air, so it's like a new way of thinking. And then Friday and Saturday, there's it's not cut and dry like today it's in this thing, like there's an overlap this week, right? So, and these signs are all pretty small, like the constellations that are associated with Libra, Scorpio and Ophiuchus are all like less than 20 degrees, right? So it takes the moon one to 2 days to get through all of these signs. So at the end of the week, the moon is going to be going into Scorpio. It'll move through Scorpio. And then over the weekend, it's going to be in Ophiuchus, which is the galactic center and a black hole. The way that the lunar cycle works as well, like traditionally, the most simplified way to see the lunar cycle, I think I'm going to switch back, I'm done pointing now, so I can see you guys. Hi, Brianne. So the most simplified way of viewing like the lunar cycles harnessing the moon's energy for your own ritualistic or intentions is like new moon, set intentions, full moon, release kind of idea. But it's a bit more nuanced than that, right? So technically, at the very beginning of the new moon, you do want to have an idea, so like kind of set some intentions, but it's more similar. I always compare the lunar cycle and the dark moon or the new moon in particular to the feminine menstrual cycle. So the new moon, the dark moon, is like your bleed, okay? And like I'm not doing shit when I'm bleeding. I'm a freaking bear in a cave, and I go, and I'm an autistic being, and I'm also an entrepreneurial single mom living in late stage capitalism. So like by the time I get to the bleed of my cycle, I just can't. Right? So I'm so blessed to be an entrepreneur and have the control over my schedule where I can take time off. And it doesn't always work out perfectly. Like I do have to do things on those days sometimes, but I do my best to try to take 1 to 2 days at least where I'm flat on my back. I'm like cocooned under a weighted blanket, right? Like just totally doing nothing. So that is more appropriate as far as the new moon is concerned. It's not necessarily about the action or initiating a new ritual, setting an intention and like manifesting, because that is that traditional, witch talk kind of spiritual influencer spirituality, right? Like, or social influencer, spiritual influencer idea, right? So it's like, hey, manifest, but like there's no energy to manifest. You're just, that is almost it's like the matrix and a spiritual cloak, right? It's like being spiritual but still reinforcing the old paradigm, doing shit like that, right? So it's not really about actively manifesting on the new moon, but it's more just like taking a beat, right? Like letting the energies settle, having an eye for what's happening and an idea of what you want. So like setting some soft plans. I mean, especially with all this mutable energy going on as well, like Virgo and Pisces are mutable signs, and Gemini as well, right? It's like Jupiter and Gemini. So like that's all about flexibility. So like setting some intentions, getting a rough plan together, but then allowing space for that plan to change. And then the reason why I was even talking about this is because it's like the first quarter, right? So the first, like the dark moon is the very beginning. The moon disappears. There's no magnetic force pulling things to the surface within us, because that's what the moon does. And then it starts to wax, right? We're in the waxing crescent. And as the moon comes back or increases its power and its magnetic force, that is the time to actually start taking action and setting some intention. So the fact that the moon is going to be in Scorpio and Ophiuchus, which are those like dark, emotional, feminine kind of energies, right? Like Scorpio is fixed water together. They create like the death and rebirth cycle, right? So like Scorpio is the depths, like the most water, the most emotional zodiac sign. And then Ophiuchus is our anomaly. It's our choice point, right? It's right over the galactic center. It's ruled by the ether. Chiron is its ruling planet, right? So over the weekend, so taking this week basically to just rest, receive. Don't strive to take action until after the moon is out of Ophiuchus, like next week, I would say would be like, next week when I'm doing this segment, we can talk about intentions and, actually starting to build on the energy. So then that week, the second quarter, you take action, actively come up with, like, start doing the plan, right? Like first week is like the plan's percolating. Second week, you're like doing shit. And then the full moon is your halfway point. It's like a check-in. And then you like release what isn't working, and then you keep going kind of idea. So where are we at? Like 12:46. Okay. How are we feeling about this information? Does anybody have any questions or anything that is coming up for them as far as what I have been sharing, or outside of anything that is coming up that you want to share with the group or ask me?
I just personally, I feel you did such a good reading, and I just feel like you're speaking to me only. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. I feel this. Now, what do I do with it? But that fear is still there. Like, no shit. I feel like I got to go and do all this stuff. And, I feel like I could be that new world leader. And again, I've been struggling with hearing my own voice and liking it, or, like, okay, like you know when you were saying you love winning in comments, like low key, I get that so much. Last night is so stupid, but the immigration thing, like that's happening in the United States. I made a post because I felt like some kind of way, so I wanted to kind of feel our local community, how they feel in regards to like it's kidnapping. It's not deporting right now. It's kidnapping. So I made a very serious post like, hey, we all need to pay attention to this. And like a lot of people attacked me and I don't get triggered in comments because I know that's what people are trying to do. I can keep my calm and I have to win, right? And I don't have to, but that's the gist of it, right?
You're
And I
capable of
get that.
winning. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get all of it. I feel like you and me were there, but I forgot why I even mentioned that. I want to go back to yes, I feel it 1000%. You're on point. I just want you to go fix it for me, like basically.
Well, you know what? I really appreciate that reflection. And I feel the resonance as far as what you've shared, and knowing you a bit more too, right? Than just what you've shared here. Like I can feel that in you, right? Like you definitely are built. You can't have the type of experiences that you had growing up and not be built for conflict. Like you were like formed in the gauntlet kind of idea. It's very similar to me, right? Like those of us who are here to be the new earth leaders are the ones who had to deal with the most shit growing up, because we need those shitty experiences and the trauma and like the coping mechanisms and skills that we develop as a result of having those traumatic experiences in order to be able to handle what is to come, right? So like getting a kick out of like stirring the pot on social media.
What's to come? Oh, I hate when I think about that. I'm like, I've already been through much. That's it. That's
Well,
it.
I mean, what's to come? So this is the thing too, right? So like, I don't know what's to come, like specifically, and this is part of why, I don't even like calling myself an astrologer, because like a professional astrologer does predictive astrology, and like they're really focused on trying to chart what's gonna happen. And I don't freaking care. Who knows? We could all be dead tomorrow, right? Like the research that I've like part of what got me into the true sky was getting into old world Tartaria, false history, and cataclysmic reset theory. Okay. And like this, I'm going to start making content on that, all those buzzwords soon as well. But essentially the gist of that work, of like the body of work, there's a big community of people who have been investigating all of those ideas. And essentially the idea or the theme of that is that our reality and like the world that we're living in and the capabilities of humans and like the way that the earth works and energy is not as we've been taught. There are a lot of straight up lies as far as our capabilities, the history of the earth, and so on and so forth. And part of that is the idea that like there are systemic resets, like cataclysms, right? Whether it's floods, fire, like plasma kind of idea. And so, who knows? Like that could happen any minute, right? And I don't say those sorts of things from a place of like, oh, make a bunker and like be afraid. Because like personally, I would rather die if something like that happens than being a survivor, right? But like the reason I'm able to say these things with such a casual like way of being, I guess, is because of the work that I've put in over the last handful of years of calming my body down and turning my attention inward. So I really understand, I'm not out here trying to experience physical suffering and pain, but if that has to happen, like I know that I can surrender to it and everything, it'll move through me faster kind of idea, right? So like who knows what's to come in the future. There's no need to fear anything. But the point was that like we're, those of us, there's so many of us on this wavelength, right? And like I feel like everybody who's on this call right now is one of us, right? Like we're the ones who here have been through the shit. We've been through the gauntlet in order to show others the way, right? And the way is internal, right? It's establishing and reinforcing on a daily basis your connection to your own divinity. Like God is not outside of you, not some man in the sky daddy telling you what to do, telling you you're going to go to heck, you know, like, or whatever, you know, like that's like the Abrahamic version of it. But there's other ways of the external God, right, in other religions as well. And that is the inverted society in a nutshell, right? Like putting our power outside of ourselves, putting our authority outside of ourselves. And this revolution, this movement in the collective that is being facilitated by the astrological transits is showing us the truth that the power comes from within. Right? The power comes from within. And as much as we can look for answers and support and seek guidance outside of ourselves, nobody can do that shit for you, right? Like it's all you. And again, that also, that kind of statement or that kind of expression can be taken negatively or taken in like in a way that reinforces nihilism, right? But like it's meant to empower you, really. Like you are the one who's in control, and whatever decision you make is the right one for wherever you're at right now. Now, I will say though, on that note, now I know you missed last week, but I did present a special offer to the people who are in my inner circle, the people who are most attuned to my transmissions regarding my upcoming Coven Council. So I've been percolating, a group women's program has been percolating in my field for a while. I was planning on doing it in the fall, but then this whole Soultivation thing came to be and took my focus to build the container to host my Coven Council. So it's going to start in January now, the first new moon in January. It's called the 6th moon rite because we're going to follow the lunar cycle as far as the energy of the container is concerned, and it'll be 6 months. It's modeled off after a somatic coven mastermind that I participated in with women all around the world. And essentially it's one part, so it's like working with me one-on-one. So each month you get a session with me. We have 2 group calls a month where we do one kind of like this, where I like at the new moon, I'll give the energies for the lunar cycles. We'll make intentions. We'll compare your chart to what is going on. And then the second call closer to the full moon is a council. So this is like, we'll do a somatic exercise. So kind of like what I did on the full moon call. And then the council part is where all of the women in the group get a chance to address the council and receive feedback or support from all sorts of different perspectives. And then we'll also have a private space group on Circle and Soultivation here, where we'll have a group chat and so on. So there'll be in between integration support as well. And then you also get my astrology course as a gift with that, because like pre-studying your chart will help you to be able to go a little bit deeper. So that offering, I'm going to be pitching it at 3,333 Canadian. And then actually, but through Soultivation, it'll be in American dollars. But I have a pre-sale that if you guys want to jump in, I'm giving $1,000 off. So it's 2,222 if you guys are interested in that. So just wanted to put that out there. That offer, that special pre-launch super secret offer is closing today because I'm officially launching that tomorrow. So anybody who's watching this on the replay, I'm sorry, you missed out. So yeah. Like, where am I at now? Okay, we're getting pretty close to time. How's everybody feeling? Is there anything else coming through? See Mackie sleeping. The first like 3 minutes of this call, I was just talking to myself and showing off my cats.
Sorry, did somebody chime in before me?
No.
Okay.
This is me talking.
I've got Mr. Rogers in the background, everybody. Sorry. I was just going to say more on like the relationships. I feel like, like my communication in my relationships have actually been really steady and calm. And I just kind of like relationship wise, how like what are you feeling through that specifically? I know you talked about relationships a little, but I just want to hear what you have to say on that.
Yeah, so this is where astrology is kind of like bingo too, right? So like depending on what your chart looks like, and I haven't had the opportunity to look at your chart yet, but I will one day. depending on what is going on in your chart, you may not be having as much activation, right? Like if you're not experiencing that kind of turbulence, and it might not even be interpersonal either, right? Because the relationships are not always with the other person. Like you can have a relationship with yourself or your habits or the institutions that you're dealing with as well. So if things are calm for you, I would wager that there's probably less direct activation as far as the current transits hitting your chart. But even as a collective, you know, like you'll be feeling that kind of push pull between discerning what is good for you and what is going to help you move forward in the new paradigm and what is not. So can you feel that theme coming up in your like
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that there's been so much more like think before you communicate, or like I'm having tension, speak your truth instead of just like blowing up. Like in both of the relationships that I'm thinking about, this is kind of happening on their end too. They're like, I'm actually taking the time to think about
yeah.
what I'm saying. Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I have to say too, like even in the situations that I've been dealing with in my personal life, like you can't control how another person is going to react,
Oh,
right?
for
And
sure.
sometimes it's projection or whatever they're working through, right? Especially if you're somebody who is a mirror or like has a lot of 12th house in your chart, like you're going to bring the worst out in people. So, but it's more about that taking a beat, right? And like I've noticed this in myself as well, that like I'm not exploding as much. Like I used to be a friggin' like it takes me a long time to get mad, but then when I get mad, like watch out, you know? And so
Yeah.
I've noticed that being more subdued, and that it is I feel a direct reflection of the internal work, right? Like the more that you're connected to source, the more you understand that like everybody really is you. So getting all worked up and causing a ruckus doesn't really do anything other than influence your own experience, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, love that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on mute again.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that is about all the things that I have to say right now for today. Nyla and Julia, is there anything else that's coming up to kind of complete the call, or like any reflections that you want to provide?
I think it's, if I could just pipe up, I just think it's really interesting that the finger of God is between Virgo and Pisces, which is masculine, feminine. Woo, there we are. And it's pointing right at relationships.
Yes.
With this maelstrom of, disharmony around it. Yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great perspective. I had chills as you were saying that, Julie, too, right? Because it really is. It's that balance. That is Virgo and Pisces, too, right? Like the masculine and the feminine, the heart and the head. And even the fact, like the yod, right? That's pointing at the lunation with Neptune and Uranus at the base. Then we also that's relational, right? And then we also have this tension pointing here between Uranus, right? It's all everything. It's like this perfect dance of the luminaries and the interactions between them that is really facilitating this movement for us as individuals and then as a collective as well.
Yeah, good.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I think that is about that. Now, I wanted to let you guys know too, I'm doing a bonus event this week. If you didn't see my transmissions through email or in the post that I made on here, I'm doing a new moon circle. So it's going to be less yapping and more ritual. It'll be similar to what we did for the full moon, but less ecstatic. Like the music's going to be different. So but it'll be a similar kind of layout where I'll talk a little bit about the energies, and then we'll do an exercise together, and then we'll share. So I don't know, Julie, it might be a bit late for you. It'll be like midnight.
Yeah, midnight.
So maybe catch the next one. But all right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate all of you and your input. And I'll see you either tomorrow or next week.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.